Okay, here we are for another Australian temporary collector's chat, my Bob, whatever you want to call it. So, hello, Rob. We are on again.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Good, thanks. Just before we get going, just like to make mention of the passing of two literary giants through the week, or last weekend, I should say. Pardon me. Umberto Eco, Italian author, professor, semiotics, author of his most widely known work that was turned into a film was The Name of the Rose. It's one of my personal favourites, and it's a shame to see him go. And of course, Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird, she passed away on the same day. So, bit of a sad week to see those two shuffle off. But there's one thing in life that we all share together: it's death and taxes. So it's going to happen to all of us eventually. But bit of a sad week to begin with. Otherwise, been a pretty good week. Very busy. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I've been trying to keep up with most things. Obviously, mostly work and then coming home and all that sort of stuff. But and also looking at collectibles, all the new goodies and that. Yeah, and I've been just mainly doing some videos as well this week. You know, when I can, I've managed to pump 3 videos out, so that's I think a new record in a week. So yeah, so I've did a video look at of the T1000. So if you want to have a look at that, that's there.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up with all your videos through the week.
Radio, and then obviously you've got the Godzilla autograph by the original Haruo Katajima, or I can't remember how you pronounce his name. It's Japanese, so I'm shit with pronunciation, but it's his autograph. And then the final one that I've done is what I've just recently uploaded, which is the comparison between the Iron Man bust and the Batman bust. Somebody requested this in the comment sections when I did the bust, and they asked me, they said, can you do a video with both of them in, showing them side by side, and give maybe some of your personal thoughts or your preferences on the both of them. So did that.
Pretty nice.
That's been uploaded. Yeah.
Okay,
so
I've got a question without notice for you.
Okay.
Have you pre-ordered the XM Batman yet?
No. I spoke to Helmy though. Spoke to Helmy, and Helmy says depending on the time it comes in, if he doesn't want it at the time, he says I would be the first on the list to get it. So who we would offer it to. So that's good. Because when Helmy was around, we did have a little look around, and they're quite hard to get now. Obviously with XM, they just go like that, don't they? And flash. Yeah. So it's definitely on the cards. It's definitely, like, I'm not strapped in saying, hey, I don't want it. I don't want it. If I can get it, I'll get it. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of timing with the money and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's one of them. And I asked Helmy when it's coming out, and he says, I'm not sure. So I was like, okay. So,
when it comes out, it'll come out.
Yeah, that's it. And so I'll either get it or I won't. But if I don't get it, it'll be one of those I'll always wish I had, for sure. I think the only downside is that Helmy did have the talk with me, and I was surprised actually he said this, with him being an XM fanboy like he is, of course. He actually said if it comes out at a similar time to the Prime 1, because he knows I like the Prime 1 stuff as well, like the Arkham stuff. I'm a big fan of what they've done with that. It's great stuff. He says for the price of the money, if you want to get bang for your buck, he said personally, and he says, yeah, he says go with the Prime 1 because you're getting more for your money. And and there's more going on. And he says, I don't want to tell you to get the XM when I know deep down if you really, because he knows I really like the Prime 1 shit as well. They are like, I'm so tempted at Pop Culture to even put a pre-order down for the Arkham Knight Batman. That just looks incredible. And
how much are they asking for it? Can I ask? I haven't looked.
Not sure.
Must be a lot.
Yeah. I'll look on here. It's over $1,000, I know that. But I say, if the XM's over $1,000 as well,
it'll be over $1,000 definitely.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's not that I don't like the XM. I do like the XM. It's just because of how limited they are. Obviously, they, like you say, they are a limited sort of run that they have, and then and that's understandable. And if you're there at the right time and you get them beforehand, fair enough. It's great. I'm just personally myself, I'm not with XM the same as in like I'm not up to date with everything, all the processes of how you get them or anything like that, because obviously I'm not familiar with them, if you know what I mean. Like I say, they do some great stuff for sure. It's just a matter of getting hold of them, you know what I mean? Which is always
can be difficult if you're not in the right circles.
That's it.
And even if you are in the right circles, it still might cost you an arm and a leg.
That's it. Yeah. So I've got it here on Pop Culture. So the Arkham Knight 1/3 scale statue is $1,500. So it's obviously expensive, but if you start, I mean, if you were to have a guess, Rob, with your knowledge of XM in their background and how much they cost when they come out, how much would you say that Batman's going to go for if you had to have a guess? Obviously.
If you get it from Helmy and he gets it for you at cost, and then you pay shipping, you probably pay maybe 1,200 Australian, maybe 1,300, 1,200, 1,300, somewhere around there. It's going to cost you, because it's going to cost you from Singapore to get it shipped down to Australia. It's going to cost you probably, I'd say, as hazard a guess, between 250 to 300, and the Singapore dollar to ours is roughly 1 to 1. So roughly somewhere around there. Let's say between 12 to 1,300 Australian is probably what it's going to cost you. You know, which one do you go for? I mean, speaking of Prime 1 and Batman, the pre-order for the Henry Cavill and the Batfleck went up on Sideshow for those two half-scale pieces. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
And 1,000 ES on both of them, and the price $2,000 American. So I won't be going anywhere near those pieces. Just a mite out of my price range, just a mite. But I don't think anyone's going to have to worry about being able to get one in 6 months' time. Let me put it that way. Not at that kind of ES and not at that kind of price. They'll be around for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't run through that whole ES and they just perhaps closed it out after maybe a couple of production runs, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a big ES for a very expensive, piece. 2,000 US, then shipping. They're probably going to come in 2 boxes, I'd imagine. One box for the figure, one box for the base. And I don't know how much that'd run you to Australia, maybe 400 or 500 US. So if we're looking at around 2,400, 2,500 US, and then we currency convert that, we're looking at what, $3,500 Australian for one of those pieces. So, wow.
I think that's it. You know, they are a little out of my, well, just a bit out of my price range.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, and on top of that as well, when you pay that, yeah, okay, you got them, but they're fucking huge. Half scale. Where are you going to put half scale? You know what I mean? Not everybody has that space. I'd be pushing enough with a 1/3 scale, and they're fucking huge as it is.
Yeah,
I want you to go out and go, hey, half scale it now, you know, but nah.
Yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I won't be collecting 1/3 scale because of exactly that issue. It's, you know, those pieces take up so much space, and when people get started, like, and people who've all pre-ordered all of these pieces from Prime One, the Harley and all the others, you know, the Scarecrow that they've shown, the Bane, etc., and they have them all lined up. Yeah. The amount of space they're going to need to display them well and properly is going to be, you know, huge. And
the thing is,
I personally, I don't have the space to display them. You know, just crazy amount of space.
I can't believe these people. And you're right, like where you see them in the threads and that, and they're out like, oh, I've got them all on pre-order, and I'm like, how the fuck can you afford all of that? And also, like you say, how many people on average have space for that amount of that size and scale? It is ridiculous. I mean, you think that, look, you look at my room now, this one room, I've got 1/6 scale, 1/4 scale, and 2 life-size busts, and you can already see I need a new fucking display.
Yeah. Well, I've you know, as you know, I've been talking to you. I've just spent the last 2.5 weeks redoing my whole room with custom shelves, and I had everything out of the room. I put everything now back in the room, and I found even after redoing the room, I don't have mountains of space left over. There's little gaps here and there that I will be able to fill with pre-orders through this year, but I don't have a lot of space left over. And where people are going to put these 1/3 and how they're going to display them, I think I actually have an interesting picture later on in regards to that. So maybe there is a solution out there, but it's going to be an expensive solution like the pieces. And the one thing that's for me is always interesting is not so much where do you put the statues, but where do you put the boxes. Exactly. I don't know about you, but I have a rather large garden shed which is stuffed to the gunnels full of boxes, and my attic of my house here is again full of boxes for these pieces. I mean, I know some people put them into storage, you know, climate-controlled storage, and they're paying, you know, $100, $150 a week, a month, whatever it is, just to store boxes. Now,
oh, sorry, you go on, carry on.
But I can't imagine, just to finish out, how big the boxes. Well, I can't imagine how big the boxes are going to be for these Prime One pieces. I have the Sentinel Marquette up here, and he would be about, I'm guessing, pretty close to sort of similar size to a lot of those Prime One pieces, and the box for that is the size of a washing machine. So if you've got 5 of those coming in, you know, 3 of those coming in, good luck storing those boxes, let alone displaying the pieces. Where are you going to put those boxes? I don't know. Maybe you could make a storage facility out of the boxes. Maybe that would be something you could do. I don't know.
Well, most people would cringe, but Iron Man bust, the box went straight in the bin. I chucked him out, and honestly, it goes to show, because Charlie bought his Arnold bust without a box. And the fact is, if somebody wants them and they're in good enough condition, they'll buy them regardless. And on top of that, like I say, I'm not that bothered. I mean, I've got my Batman bust box right here. I've got my computer on it here and everything, and I'm using it as like a little desk for these chats, which is quite funny. At the moment I'm doing that, and then it gets tucked under the desk when obviously I'm not using it. But even this, I'm thinking about, do I really need it here? Can I chuck it? I keep my Hot Toys boxes because they are like proper, you know, seals. They've got all they're limited edition. They've got all the little seals inside. Also, you've got to put your accessories in there for the figures. They are must. You need to keep them. And I put them in, you know, storage in my cupboard here. It's absolutely fucking packed with Hot Toys stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the worst offenders for boxes out of bigger range, like the quarter scale. I mean, I thought the fucking Batman from Hot Toys was big, but Jesus, the Entebbe, these two fuckers, and the Joker. Oh my God, the boxes. My criticism of their boxes is they're overly big.
Yeah, I've seen the Entebbe box for the what was it, the Arnie piece?
Yep.
Sort of an average size PF box from Sideshow. Similar size.
Well, actually, I've got one here. It was actually that big. I'm using it as a bloody like a thing for this. Got me like Joker piece here, and I'll grab it out actually. This is for the T1000.
Yeah.
It's like a massive box, absolutely huge.
I've seen some collectors use the art box as the stand for their statues in some instances. It doesn't actually look too bad. I mean, the art box, for example, I don't know if you've seen the Batman PF, the original Sideshow one. The art box on it's quite nice. It's sort of got a slightly Art Deco kind of feel to it, and it looks pretty nice. It complements the piece pretty well. And the new, another one that looks really nice is the new Spider-Man PF box. I don't know if you've seen that as well. The box on that is really, really nice. It's probably the best box Sideshow's done, pardon me, in a while. And that if you have to resort to that, I've seen some people do it. So maybe that's a way around, doing something with the boxes. But that to me, I think, is the great bane of being any collector, is what do you do with the boxes? Not so much where do you put the pieces and how do you afford the pieces, as expensive as they are now, but the boxes, where do they all go? Because they start to build up pretty damn quick.
Yeah. I mean, Rob, you can see, this is my cupboard here. And there's the box.
It's like Tetris.
It is. It keeps going up.
Yeah. You got to put them in at the right configuration so you can get the right amount of boxes in the cupboard.
Yeah. And then down here, you can see there's the two Entebbe boxes down the bottom. So that's one, that big black mass there, and then that's one there. So you start to see how they're building up,
Maybe for next week, I'll take a few photos of my garden shed. I'll just open the door and take some photos.
Yeah, do that. I'd love to.
Next week.
Like I say, and then when I have a minute, if you can see, that where my bust is, the Batman bust box just slides underneath here. Yeah. That's all I do. I just slide it underneath, and it's out of the way, So,
yeah, they're huge, aren't they?
They are humongous.
And now we know why people in Asia don't collect formats.
That's it.
Well, they all go down the Hot Toys road.
Yeah. That's it. A lot of people do not like, and I've said this. I used to say this to Charlie and the guys. They go, people don't buy quarter scale bigger, it's better, or whatever crap that is. But a lot of people, along with the fact that Hot Toys generally do have better quality control than Sideshow, and they've got better head sculpts and all that. A big factor of collecting Hot Toys or 1/6 is space. It's simply that,
I was reading a post somewhere through the week. I can't remember, it might have been on Statue Forum. Some guy was just throwing up ideas. Can't remember the name of the poster, whoever you were out there. But anyway, he was talking about the future of collecting, or where he thought the future of collecting was going. It might have been actually Jerry Macaluso, who runs PCS. Posted in Statue Forum, he was a series of questions, and one of the questions was, where do you see statue collecting going in the future? And one of the posters replied, he thought with the way prices are going and the way, you know, space is such a premium for collectors, that he thought instead of things continuing along and we marching down this road of things getting bigger and better, he saw things actually regressing and going back to people going back to 1/5, 1/6, maybe even lower, you know, 1/8, 1/10 scale pieces, because of not so much the space, but the rise in prices. People just being priced out of being able to collect these quarter scale pieces anymore. I mean, I know my habits have changed quite a bit over the last few years because of exactly that. $500 now is what Sideshow's asking on average for one of these pieces, 500 US. So for us in Australia, that's what, 650 straight up before you even get the thing shipped. That's a hell of a lot of money to be paying. And you know, I thought there was a lot of validity in that comment, that we might in the future, say, give it 4 or 5 years, we might see a resurgence in you know, sort of 1/6 scale statue type of realm, because it's something that Bowen used to do, but he's, you know, now Randy Bowen's long gone, and it's one scale that isn't really being done much anymore. 1/6 outside of, you know, I'm talking about a statue, not so much the articulated figure type world, but if there was someone out there producing 1/6 scale statues with the same kind of detail as you get in sort of modern statues from XM, Prime One, Sideshow, but at a much more reasonable price, you know, $300 for a 6 scale statue, I think there'd be a lot of people, you know, with a reasonable ES, of course, and reasonable QC, a lot of collectors, I think, would look very seriously at maybe selling up a lot of their quarter scale pieces and going back to 1/6 scale. I mean, I certainly know when I was reading this post and I was thinking about it, I'd seriously consider it. If there was a company doing 1/6 scale Marvel, DC, you know, film related pieces, very much like what Sideshow do, but doing them well, I'd seriously consider it.
Yeah.
And any 1/6 scale statue producers out there, there you go. There's a bit of advice for you. Get into it. Yeah.
But I think that's it. You know, it's like a company called Mezco. They've gone to 1/12. Now, you wouldn't believe how the market for them is actually, they come out for about $90 to $100, right?
Yeah.
And they go up in the hundreds. The people are seriously into these collecting, and on top of that, the figures these Mezco guys are doing, the head sculpts that they've been doing, especially for the Star Trek line and the Batman v Superman, are excellent. It's someone like myself who collects Hot Toys. I barely ever get disappointed with Hot Toys head sculpts. They're always bang on, like look just like miniature versions of the actors, and you know that's they're the benchmark. And I'm looking at these 1/12 scale figures and going, oh my god. It's like they did a Dread, and it wasn't a film Dread, it was a comic Dread. But they did a zoom in on the face, and obviously, like you get on your Hot Toys, you've got your bristles and all the pores and the skin and all those details. They were there in a 1/12 scale. 1/12.
As these companies become more precise and better able to produce these things, you know, in a computer and mass produce them through a machine rather than through any kind of hand molding, if you will, your companies are going to be able to do that. I digress just a sec. I know XM have a 1/6 scale line, I think, and Iron Studios down in Brazil are doing 1/10 scale pieces. So there are companies that have put their toe in the water, but they're not. Both of them aren't pushing those lines like they are their bigger pieces. And I think that's the thing. If there was a company that was just dedicated to doing 1/6 statues with those big licenses, I think there'd be a lot of, and as you said, with that kind of Hot Toys quality, I think there'd be a lot of collectors lining up to give them their money, you know, because, you know, 1/6, I mean, hang on a sec, I'll just give you a bit of an example. This might be, I have to be very careful with him. He's pretty delicate. Oh, here he is. This is that's the Predator. As you can see from the name, or maybe you can't see. That's the Predator diorama that Sideshow did. This is the exclusive version. Years and years and years ago they did this, and it was done by the Gore Group. But the detail, it's only small. It's like, I don't even know if it's 1/6 scale. I think it's smaller than that. It might be 1/8 or 1/9. But the detail on it is phenomenal. Like it's spot on. All the netting, the paint work on it is great. You know, the head is interchangeable. All the stuff here, all this is that's all loose. All these amulets and, you know, necklaces and things are all loose. You know, the paint work on it's great. All the details, got more detail than some of the larger scale pieces on it. But that's even at a statue level. Pardon me while I put that back. Even at a statue level, it shows you what can be done. Yeah, at that slightly smaller, you know, at a smaller scale. You know,
I mean, this actually brings me to a bit where I'll do it. It brings me to my back figure of the week, and I'll show you my back figure of the week because it's part on this topic of scales, and then we can continue talking scales because we've got plenty to talk about with this. But I think it's always an interesting topic, scales and stuff like that, you know, of figures. If I recently ordered a figure that I'm very proud actually to have ordered. And I'll put the share on here now, and I'll show you. I think you've shown you this before. Hang on. Here we are. So it's the Mezco. And I just ordered this recently. I've got the exclusive, so it's from the Dark Knight Returns. It's like where it's Batman in his 60s or whatever. It's like a 60-year-old Batman or whatever. But the figure is insane. And just everything about it impressed me. Like, this is all mixed media, right?
Yeah.
And there's mixed media and all this, so the bags are all mixed media, and it's articulated, and the articulation is saying you got your swap out parts, you got your nice little Batman stand there. The cape, they've actually built these tiny magnets that go into the bottom of the cape that allow the cape to sit more naturally, like it would on a bigger scale. It's a new technique they've used. But also by doing that, they've been able to put stuff in the cape, so you can pose everything with the cape. So it poses the cape as well, and allows you to do some very insane stuff, like even comparing this. Sorry?
Oh, I was just looking at the picture below that looks like the same figure, but he's got the rifle. There it is. Below.
Now, Hot Toys sometimes, as good as Hot Toys are for detail and accuracy to the film, a lot of the time with their figures, and I'll be pretty honest here, some of their figures, they sacrifice articulation over accuracy. You know what I mean? So, they have accuracy over articulation. So the figure looks amazing, but the technique of using the materials isn't always, you know, perfect. So sometimes you have a figure that just can't move as much. Now, usually, as a general rule, the smaller the scale, usually a lot with mixed media, the harder it is to, you know, get it to move properly. And as you can see right here, he is holding that gun perfectly. No issues. Yeah, and he's holding it perfectly. There's a couple of pictures here as well. So you've got him here moving, and he's still got the definition and everything. So it's not like it's baggy clothing on him or anything. Then you've got him here, his cape. It looks absolutely awesome.
And how much are they asking for that?
Well, on release, they're about because this is the exclusive as well, and they're a limited run. When they first came out, they're about $100.
Yeah.
Now I've paid, because it's been out for a short while now, but the prices go up, and at the cheapest you can get it now, the cheapest is about just round about 200. Well, that was 200 shipped, so it was about the actual figure itself was about 160, 170. So, and then you just got to factor in, this guy had like express shipping on it, so it was about $30 or something like that on top, and also with the AUD too, because I bought it from, I think it was Glasgow. This one piece was from.
Okay. Yep.
So there's a little things you got to pay obviously to get it here, but you know, they're in a price range between that where it's quite affordable for a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's it. It's sort of, I think Prime One were teasing a Dark Knight figure as well through the week, but again, it was like 1/3 scale, and that, again, that's going to cost, you know, $1,000 straight up without shipping. And if you've got a run of these figures in this scale, what is this? Is this 1/6 or is it smaller? Or is it 1/12?
This is 1/12, believe it or not.
1/12. But you're getting, you know, you get 5 of these, maybe 6 of these if you can get them from the right place, maybe a few more if you can get them from the right place at the right time, in place of one of those Prime One piece. And that's just paying for the item, not the shipping. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's an interesting debate to have, you know, where things might be going. All these companies seem to be pushing bigger, better, you know, bigger in terms of scale and bigger in terms of price. But of course, there has to be a point at which they push things too far, and there is this pushback from customers. And again, you only have to read most of the forums to know that there's a lot of people out there who are becoming more and more reticent about ordering pieces, big quarter scale pieces at this price. I mean, I know, again, from my perspective, I have one piece on pre-order with Sideshow. One. That's it. That's as few as I've ever had with Sideshow, except when I started collecting, and that was 15 years ago. Yeah. This is when, you know, they had the Lord of the Rings line was coming along, and those pieces, little 6 scale statues, were like $100 each. So it's it's an interesting debate to think where it's going to. I just thought it was interesting. You know, you're talking about your figure here and how that sort of fits into that whole notion of perhaps in 4 or 5 years we might see a correction in the collectibles market where things re-alter and people start to move back. I mean, again, you know, things go in cycles like anything. Yeah. And people start to move back to maybe smaller scales because of the, you know, cost factors and, you know, space concerns. Yeah. I
mean, it's like this here. You know, when you talk about like collectors going about dioramas, and people like 1/6 dioramas, they like 1/4 scale dioramas. This here, well, this picture is, again, it's Mezco, and this it's a set, right? So it comes with obviously the mutant leader. It comes with this wreckage, like this diorama base, and it comes with this Batman. And the Batman there's that Batman, but there's also a battle damaged Batman, so he looks all like battered and bruised and scratched and shit. And that's, I think this all up, if I've got my facts right, I could be a bit more, but it's about $300 all up. for this diorama, and it looks incredible, you know. And the fact, you know, again, smaller scale. I mean, you look at that there. I mean, it's not the best of pictures in the world, but you look at that. That doesn't look cheap, does it? You know, the paint looks quality. You know, it looks real. It looks rusted. It looks fantastic, and I think that's the thing. You know, like you say, things will. I think there's a good chance that things could start going smaller in order to, you know, like you say, fit the market for certain people, because like I say, everyone goes on about quarter scale, and everyone says how wonderful quarter scale is, and sure, I mean, scale's never been a massive issue for me, but you know, all these guys that 3 years ago were bragging about how having bigger is better, now are starting to look and go, oh shit, we're running out of space.
Yes.
And you know, it just goes to show that, you know, bigger is not always better. There's pros and cons to both,
right.
and there's things obviously, you know, that can, being smaller, you can get away with it. I mean, it's like this picture here. I'm going to just see if it loads. I mean, you look at that there, the Batman, it's battle damaged. I don't know if you can see that well, Rob.
Yeah, no, it's coming on. It's coming up okay.
And you can see there's the scratch blood there, you know, tearing in the suit. You got blood on the gloves. The face is battle damage, and on the other side of the face,
it's at 1/12 scale, so that's not that big. It's not that big at all. But look at the detail they're able to work into these things now.
And that's it. I think that's the scary part. And it's like what you just said earlier. By looking at this picture, you wouldn't be shocked if it was 1/6 scale. You'd be like, yeah, your mind's telling you it is. It's like, there's no way that's fucking 1/12. And that was the reaction I got. It was actually, this was shown actually by my brother, and he showed me these, and he thought, oh, Ryan, he goes, I thought this would be up your alley. Yeah, I think you'd like this. And anyway, he told me the scale, because I said to him, oh, this could go like in line with my Hot Toys, and he goes, well, the only downside is, he says, compared to that obviously thing is they are smaller. Yeah. And I said, oh, how small are they? You know, are they a little bit, just a little bit like 1/7 or something like that? He goes, oh no, they're 1/12. And I went, you what? I was sort of like, Jesus Christ! You mean that detail is on something? I mean, again, it's not super small, but it's fucking small compared to everything else, and I was blown away, and just by that, and then the articulation as well, because like I say, a big complaint that people have with 1/6 figures and stuff is certain figures, they say with certain materials you can't get articulation out of them as well. But these are sort of like saying no to that, really. They're like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You can. And when I get this figure, I'll do a video, and I'll try and do. I'll tell you what. I'll compare it to the best probably material. It'd be best to compare to would be the same one that Adam West, and I'll try and compare the articulations of the Hot Toys to the Mezco, and we'll see how it goes. It'd be an interesting one, I think, to see how well the articulation is compared to Hot Toys. Is it better even? You know.
So you should be getting that pretty soon then.
Yeah, I ordered it. I think it was beginning of this week. Just obviously this week just gone, and there's a possibility I think it could arrive end of this week, next week, whatever. There's a good chance that it could arrive. I'm not sure, but it won't be long. It shouldn't be too long before it arrives. And when it does, I'll do a video on it, and I'll have a look and see what it is. Because, like I say, obviously, Hot Toys, when it comes to movie accuracy and head sculpts, they nail it. But with articulation, they are known to have sometimes more limited articulation to other pieces. I mean, a big example would be The Wolverine, he's got awesome articulation. You can do a lot with it. You know, it's fantastic. But an example of probably not so great articulation, a little bit more, you know, harder to move would be the Winter Soldier, Captain America, right there.
Yeah.
He's very stiff at the arms. There's things he can't do as well. So obviously, as you can see, I've got him in that very just
straight up and down.
Yeah. So, and like I say, and there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously, with Hot Toys, I'd rather get it to look more movie accurate over articulation. I think, because obviously that's what you're paying for. But it's nice to have a bit of movement in there, so you can change the poses and stuff like that. As I say, it's always nice. But these, like I said, these Mezco, for the size and the details and all that shit, it's scary, really. They're pulling off those sort of poses, the sort of details, like you say, and the fact that they can make you think, hey, is that 1/6 scale? Is that a new 1/6 scale range? And you're looking at them as well. You're like pairing up against some of the 1/6 scale sideshow stuff, and you're looking at them and you're like, wait a minute, why do I think the Mezco 1/12 scale looks better and a fraction of the price? So, you know, it's interesting times, really.
Yes. Well, continuing that discussion about scale and size and price, etc.
Yeah.
Through the week, I mean, I've said previously that I'd be interested in buying those Prime One movie turtles that they showed at WonderCon. I think it was a few weeks ago. Now they're supposedly quarter scale, those pieces, and I guess we can surmise, you know, being quarter scale, being Prime One, they're probably going to come in at 500 a pop. I'd imagine 500 US a pop when eventually they go up for pre-order. Now, I was at my local shopping centre through the week, and I saw in a collectible store these pieces that, let me see if I can screen share it here. There we go. Let's have a little look. Come on, baby, where are you?
Oh.
So, can you see that, Ryan? It's a little...
Yes.
That is a 1/6 scale Ninja Turtle from a group called Icon Collectibles. That's based on the 1987 cartoon. Yeah. Now, they've put 2 out. They've got a 3rd one up for pre-order, and the 4th one, I assume they're going to get around to doing it. But these are 1/6 scale. I've seen this one in person, and it's not bad. It's a nice size. Paint-ups, it's a very, you know, being based on the cartoon, it's a very basic sculpt, very basic paint, but nice all the same. And the best part was, again, it's 1/6 scale, so it's not going to be a bust in terms of space being used. And the best part of it was I could have picked this up for, it was under $200 Australian. So, you know, when you that's under 200 Australian dollars. When you think of that, those Prime Ones are going to be more than likely 500 US. Yeah. Here's another one here. Can you see that one now? It's.
Oh wow, that's a nice one. A nice pose
as well. Yeah. And they've done Leo here. It's a bit of a smaller pic. See if I can get a bigger one. There we are. You know, so you can see. Pretty basic in terms of the sculpt, pose, paint, because they're based on that cartoon. But again, we're talking about, this is 1/6 scale, under $200 Australian. So for me, I might go for these 4 instead of the Prime One pieces. I mean, I know the Prime One are going to be obviously that much better finished. But again, the Prime One pieces are going to cost us, if I get all 4 of them, it's going to be $2,000 US for probably, I'm just guessing here, $2,000 to buy all 4, then shipping, then you do the currency conversion. It's going to cost me the best part of at least 3,000 Australian dollars, at least, to get all 4 of those Prime One pieces. I can get all 4 of these guys for under $600 Australian, all 4 of them, and they're 6 scale, so they're not tiny pieces, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was really interesting that I was reading that article through the week, or reading that post about things regressing, and then I came across these pieces while I was doing that. So it was very interesting the way it.
Yeah. I mean, they look great as well.
Yeah.
You know, they're simplistic sometimes as less is more as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you're a Turtles fan. Excuse me.
Yes, well, I watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and the first movie I enjoyed, but I'm not a rabid fan. I'm not, you know, drooling at the mouth for every, you know, turtle piece that comes down out of, you know, I'm not like Helmy. I'm not going to go and buy that little, what was it, Mondo piece that he had a few weeks ago. But, you know, if I could get all 4 of these pieces for the right price, I'd probably do it. So I thought that was a nice alternative. And when you weigh up 3,000 for the Prime 1 pieces versus, you know, 550, 600 for those 4 pieces, it's not too hard a decision to make, quite frankly.
Yeah. That's it.
And again, you know, here is, I think, that process happening. Going back to that slightly smaller scale, maybe not, like you said, bigger isn't always better. You know, these pieces don't have that really, probably that fine detail that the Prime 1 pieces are going to have, but again, you weigh up the cost factor, you weigh up again the space factor on those Prime 1 pieces, quarter scale, even displayed in the diorama configuration, that's a lot of space they're going to take up. The boxes that come with them are going to be large as well. I think for me personally, that's a no-brainer. If I'm going to get them, those will be. I'll get those little icon. I'll get those little icon 6 scale pieces, and they'll fit in really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I say, I think you're spot on there saying that. Like I say, whatever suits that. Everything's got a like something suits somebody, so like their size, factor in size, cost, you know.
Yeah.
They are 2 big factors what determines for a certain type of collector what they will want and what they will buy. Which brings me actually to one topic on scales. I've always thought this, and it's always a thing that's I've never fully got. Why do you think certain collectors only collect, like the collectors that only collect quarter scale, and they will not collect anything other than quarter scale? So say, for example, is like the He-Man stuff from Sideshow. When I went onto the board, first thing I thought was, wow, oh, it's 1/5, cool, that looks fucking awesome. Now, on the other side, you got these guys in the threads that are just like, oh, super disappointed. 1/5 again.
Well, I'll
done it again.
Let me just add that they just announced that. What was it? I'll have to bring it up. Hang on a second. Give me 2 seconds. But she's 1/5 as well. The name of this statue, Purgatory, I think it is. Let me just bring it up here. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's a Purgatory statue that Sideshow have just announced, and she's 1/5 as well. And if you go onto, you know, Statue Forum, Sideshow Freaks, you get the same thing in the threads related. As soon as it was announced, this is a 1/5 scale piece, everyone's like, oh, why does it have to be 1/5? It won't fit into my collection. And that I can understand. If you've got pieces you want to pair up with it that are quarter scale, and then you get this thing that's 5th scale, it's a bit of a letdown in terms of things. I mean, it's a bit, you know, I have some of the old AH Cats. There's one right there. You can see the Black Queen in the corner of my shot there, and she's 1/5 scale, and she doesn't go with any of the quarter scale X-Men premium formats that Sideshow did because she's just too small. Didn't stop me collecting that AH line, but from that perspective, I can understand. To answer your question, I think it depends upon. I mean, obviously, I can't speak for other collectors. I'll talk from my perspective. For me, it relates to the property that I'm collecting. For example, pardon me, the Lord of the Rings is, really the thing that kicked off, collecting for a lot of people. The old Sideshow Wetter line from eons ago. Now, for me, I collected those early pieces, still have a fair few of them, and I've collected a lot of Sideshow stuff and Wetter stuff related to Lord of the Rings. Now, for me, collecting Lord of the Rings, the best way to represent that property is through a diorama type setup where you've got multiple characters on an environmental base, which generally means you're going to get something at a smaller scale. Okay, now a lot of the old Sideshow Wetter statues were 1/6, but they did statues at smaller scales as well, and a lot of the Sideshow dioramas are 1/8, 1/10, even smaller than that. A lot of the Wetter environments are much, much smaller. The Barad-dûr Tower that I've got down here is, I think, 100th scale or something. I mean, it's still a huge piece, and it's heavy, but it's like it's a tiny scale as compared to the original tower. And for me, that smaller scale works better with that property. Behind me, here's the Gentle Giant statues. Again, they're all 1/6 scale statues. Now, people would go, "Oh, why are you collecting Gentle Giant? They suck. They're horrible head sculpt, blah, 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 blah." Again, from my perspective as a collector, when I started collecting, Sideshow, in terms of the premium format quarter scale Star Wars pieces, had only put out a couple of them, and they weren't very good, quite frankly. It was the first Han Solo, which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's horrible, and the first Luke. And it was a case of I had to make a choice. Do I want to buy these quarter scale pieces from Sideshow that weren't very good, or get into some of the Gentle Giant pieces, which were okay, I thought it looked better, but only 1/6 scale. But again, it was a case of I knew when I got into Star Wars, I was only going to collect the original trilogy, but that meant still I was going to collect maybe 10, 15 pieces. Now, if I have 10, 15 quarter scale pieces, well, I'm going to need a lot of real estate to display them. I'm going to need a huge amount of space to display them, and it's going to be very costly to buy 10, 15, Star Wars premium formats, and then just put the boxes somewhere on top of all that. Here I've got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with the bookends here, and I've got another set of bookends from Gentle Giant. So that's 13 of 13 statues that I've got in a space where I'm probably lucky to get about 4 premium formats. And quite frankly, they're all really good. They're pretty nice. Probably the least of them is probably the Bespin Luke here, which doesn't have the best head sculpt on it, which is widely known, but the others are all really nice. So again, from my perspective, when we talk about scale, it relates to the property for me in terms of what I think best suits that property. I went with the Sideshow quarter scale premium formats when I started collecting X-Men figures. I didn't go back and get all the Bowen figures. That was just a choice I made at the time. Can't speak for other collectors in terms of, and I'm sure you're much the same, because you, like me, you collect across a range of scales rather than just collecting one scale.
Yeah, and I think like you say, if it's with a line, definitely. But I don't know about you. Well, I bet you do think this, but I think it's good to have a mixture of scales in your collection. I don't know if you.
No, I'm simpatico with you. I agree, and I'll tell you why. Because I think it gives any collection, it gives it diversity. You know, you can come into my room here that I've made, and you can look at all the, you know, above me, which you can't see, is all quarter scale marble pieces. You know, all the original Cap, Red Skull, got the XM Thanos up there, Apocalypse, the Sentinel Marquette, all the X-Men quarter scale, a whole heap of movie quarter scale pieces over there. But then mixed in amongst that, I've got the 6 scale Star Wars. I've got all this Lord of the Rings stuff, which probably people can't see. That's all at different scales, but it's all, the Lord of the Rings stuff especially is all diorama based around environments. So it all fits in together, if you can know what I mean. So I like that diversity in a collection. It gives it life, you know, a way of expressing it, rather than just having, I think, being rigid and having one scale and that's it. You know, it's,
and I think that's the only thing, like, say, with these some collectors out there that you see. There's some that obviously, like you say, doesn't fit in with their line, and that's fair enough. But there are some that will sit, or that will just not buy a piece because it's not quarter scale, if you know what I mean. Like, that's always thrown me. It's like it's like if you had 2 of the same piece. One was quarter scale, and let's say one was 1/5 or 1/6. Let's just go with that as a scale. And even if so let's say the 1/6 or 1/5, whatever scale it is, has better paint apps, better sculpt, it's a better pose, it's overall a better piece. I have seen some collectors that will pass on that and buy the quarter scale on, even though it's not as good, just because quarter scale. And that, for me as a collector personally, I don't get that at all. That, for me, it's like that Coup model werewolf that I did a video on. Remember that one? That in our collection as a whole is completely separate. There's nothing in our collection, nothing in here, nothing in the cinema room that is on the same level as that, as in like its genre, what sort of style it is, the fact it's a werewolf. It is literally, it's on its own in our collection, but it's still amazing. Like, people have come in the last few days or whatever and seen it, or Helmy did, and Helmy looked at it and went, holy shit. He was like, that's cool. And he was fascinated by it, you know what I mean? And it's not even, like, it's 1/6 scale. So in a way, you know, it fits in. But even in the cinema room, there's multiple scales. There's quarter scale. We've got some different stuff in there. But that one piece that was so out of place caught people's attention. And sometimes, like you say, when you have a diverse, and when you have a diversity, it's more to look at, you know. And I've seen some amazing Hot Toys collections, and they've got some figures I wish I could fucking have. They're just amazing. But the way they have it, they have, like, imagine like this wall here behind me. You got details going all the way down. And they're all 1/6 scale, and they're all stacked in together, and they're all the same scale. There's no quarter scale, none of that. And you go, that's a nice collection you have, but a really boring way of posing them or displaying them.
That's one of the reasons. I mean, I've spent a lot of time, you know, just digressing or moving sideways to that. Why I've spent the time and the money and the effort redoing my room the way I have redone it. You know, previously in here, you saw it was full of IKEA furniture, and it was that everything compartmentalized, everything was in a square or a rectangle or a cube, or it was on top of a rectangle, a square or a cube. And I've got to say, I've really come to not enjoy seeing collections like that, where it's just besta after besta after besta after besta, you know, 2 premium formats in every besta. It's such a often copied look. You know, I wish
Yeah.
people would maybe take a little bit more time and, you know, display their collections a little bit more creatively, if I can put it that way. I can't understand why people use Festas and Detolfs and Billies and all those other, you know, the sort of Stuvas and that kind of thing. But when everyone's using Billies and Vestas and Stuvas and Detolfs, it does, one collection blurs into the next before your eyes kind of thing. And it's like, did I look at that collection 5 minutes ago? I thought maybe I did, maybe I didn't, because they all sort of start to look the same. So, I mean, that's what I've done in here is get rid of all that IKEA furniture, and I've built custom shelves that basically wrap around all 4 walls of the room. So there's no free space, and nothing's put in a compartment like that anymore, because the shelves run all the way around. And I mean, maybe when I do my video, people will be able to see I have one shelf where it's got Lord of the Rings collectibles running from one side of the door frame all the way around the room, all the way back to the other side of the door frame, and it looks really nice, you know, because it's like standing in the round. You can stand in the middle of the room, do a 360, and you're looking at something in every direction.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I think it's a nicer way, or a more creative way of putting something together.
I mean, there's like on Facebook where I'll show you the pics in a second. But he's put the pics up. He put pics up of this room. He put the cinema room. But there was a lot of people. I was absolutely gobsmacked when this. But there was people actually looking at this setup and going, "Oh, that's giving me some ideas."
Yeah, show them then, because I'd like to see these pics as well. I haven't seen them. Put them up. Let's have a look.
We'll get them up. Right, yeah. Well,
this would be very interesting.
Yes. You'll also get a nice look of how tall I am. I'm, you know, like 6'7". Hang on, is it? Here we go. Entire screen. Share. Hold on. Sorry for the. Here we go. So you've got some pics here. Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
Yep. So here's obviously Helmy with me, obviously in my collection. He took a picture also. Nice. Thank you. This is actually took a picture of this in our garage because my brother, he likes to post figures and he just randomly posts. That is a old Wolverine figure with a Stormtrooper helmet, and that's like an old Hasbro Luke Skywalker, and they are still in the garage in that pose as we speak. So I'll go back through. So this is the cinema room, and this is how we've got our bestas set up. Or this is some of them anyway.
Yeah, that's cinema room.
Yeah, I'll do a video. I'll try and do a video of the cinema room setup so you can have a better look. But so we've got this all set up like this, and basically the cinema room is set up almost like a film studio. So there's pictures on there, so you can see the Jack Russell with the 3D glasses on. We've got like one of the spotlights from like, you know, the movies and the movies. Yeah, so we went all out on that, and so you've got this. There's Helmy doing a selfie with the Batman. He had a lot of fun with that. We'll have a look. So here's me and Helmy again, obviously in front of my collection in my room, and we go across. Here you go. So we took a picture of my setup. So this is another angle, sort of, so you can see better. So obviously, yeah, I mean, these are two separate cupboards. These are. What we had to do was we took, if you can see at the end here, there's no end on that, so we took that off to shorten it down because it was just a tad. That one bar at the end actually was too big, so we mounted that into the wall, and we've got them also throughout here, and then we joined them together, and that's how we did it. So we got it all running across here, and that's how we've had it anyway. And then this is the television. So there's these small little ones across the top.
Yeah.
Like this, and they're like half the size, and then like half again. So that's we had them put them, and we thought they fit nicely over the TV. As you can see there, that's my dad's latest pickup, the Tannis from Sideshow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we picked that up recently for a very good price. I think it was about just $500 or something like that for the Tannis, believe it or not. And the guy was selling it off with a Hot Toys Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was a very nice guy. The guy my dad was chatting with, apparently he works in in this like movie cinemas and things like that, and he also does photo shoots for films. And he actually knows Jason Momoa from Batman v Superman. And he was chatting to him actually 2 days prior to that, which is another interesting thing. And so this is another little closer look of the cinema room on this one side. So as you can see, you've got your Star Wars stuff across the top. So they've got the Tauntaun in the middle. That's the Sideshow Darth Vader 1/6 scale there, because my dad actually prefers that to the Hot Toys. But the Alec Guinness Bespin look, and this one was from Elwyn. So can never stop thanking Elwyn. He managed to sell that to us for a very nice price, and it was good of him. So you got just as you can see, just at the side here, you got the Snow Trooper, the Sideshow, then there's Sideshow Han Solo and that sort of the Hoth gear, and then there's Luke Skywalker. And then here you've got the Sideshow Biker Scout on the speeder bike. You've got a Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper in there, and you've got a Clone Trooper from Sideshow. And then, as you can see there, there's a First Order Stormtrooper from Star Wars. Nice. That's from Hot Toys. Obviously, your Avengers line we've got here. And a bit more over here as well. The Iron Man, that's Igor there. So as you can see from top to bottom, that there is one Iron Man. And we've got the Hulkbuster on order, and that's even bigger. So yeah, you can already just imagine what it's going to be like. And down here is 3A. So this is my brother's little 3A collection. Well, quite a big one, and as you can see, it's quite crowded in there. And then there's a Predator collection there, and you got Arnold in the center and a few Predators. And then here is the Pred Alien and AVP Alien there, and in the center is the Samurai Predator. So you got all that there. So I don't know if there's any more pictures. So that's it for that. He did miss some though, because on the back actually. Oh, hang on. What's going on? The best way I could show it to you. Go back. So say here, you see you've got the settee here, the couch.
Yeah.
So behind that, over here sort of thing on the wall, we've got another display there with Hot Toys in there, and they've got Guardians of the Galaxy and all that sort of stuff in there. So there's another one on the back wall, so it's like over the TV, right there, and then at the back as well. So that's how we've got it all set out. Nice. But I'll do a video, so you know, so we can. I'll give you a better look, more of a 360 look at it.
Yeah, so the whole setup.
Yeah, but that's basically it. And then obviously on the top, the prized possession in the collection, the Jaws. Yeah, yes. Bruce. And Helmy was absolutely gutted when he saw it, because yes, he does have it, but he actually said the paint application on ours was better than his, and he couldn't look at it because it would just destroyed him. and he was the first one to notice that. He was gobsmacked with that, and yeah.
I've got a perfect companion piece to go with that.
Sorry?
I've got the perfect companion piece to go with that, Bruce.
Oh, do you? Oh, hang on, I'll come back to the main screen now. I'll stop sharing. There we are. Let's have a look. So what's the perfect companion piece?
I've got a first edition novel, Jaws, from Peter Benchley. Years
Oh, wow.
and years, you know, first edition hardback, US edition from years and years and years ago that I have in my literature collection. Yeah, I had the opportunity to buy that, Bruce, many years and years ago, but I never got it. I've thought about, because I love the film. The film is just great. It's one of Spielberg's masterpieces. It is a great film. And I have my own little Jaws shrine up here with a few bits and pieces in it as well. But yeah, it's a nice piece. I can't remember the guy who makes the custom Bruces. I'd have to dig his name up from somewhere. But there's a guy out there who does these custom Bruces, and you can get them like in the rack as they were delivered. Like he makes up the wooden rack that the shark was delivered in to the set, the mechanical shark, and yeah, you can get them bloodied up. You can get them with the barrels in. Let me see if I can find.
Yeah,
who he is.
See if you can find one.
Yeah, no, they're really nice, but they're bloody expensive. And I've always sort of thought, will I get one or not get one? If I can find. Here they are here, I think. Here's one here. Let's see if I can screen share this.
No worries.
There, okay. There we are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's 3 feet long.
Bloody
Now,
hell.
there's a website there, Shark City Oz Arc. I can't remember the guy's name who makes it. He custom makes them.
I bet they're, so how much are they worth or what then?
He's made lots of different scales over the years. They're more expensive than the Sideshow one, but they're like handcrafted in the US. I'll see if I can find one of the variants, because there's some really nice ones that he's done over the years. There's a good one in someone's collection. There's one there. Well, there's a couple of them there. Another one. Here's one here. This is what I'm talking about. See how it's in the wooden frame, and you've got the barrels and everything that come with it. That wooden frame was like how the shark was sort of delivered to the set, and that's how you can get yours if you want it. He'll make up this wooden frame with all the barrels and all the little accoutrements that go with it.
That's really cool.
See, there he is.
Oh, okay.
And he can do one that's like there's another version of it with the half rack, barrels and bits. And yeah, they're really nice. And he does variants on it as well, where he'll bloody them up for you if you want, and put harpoons in its back, and bits of blood coming out of it, and yeah, he'll basically do what you want to it in terms of the finish in relation to how you want it represented from the film. So yeah, just another.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, they're really nice.
That that's a
Very
nice
expensive.
touch there with that whole delivering how it was delivered to the set. I thought that's like a little thing for the people who are really,
Yeah.
that's really nice touch that he's done that, and the fact that he's even managed to craft that even
Yes.
is pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
very, very nice. But they're if I remember rightly, they're not cheap.
No, I can imagine.
I think they were pretty expensive at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at them a couple of years ago because he does runs on them every so often. He'll do a run and then like here we are, new 3 foot. I'm just looking at his website right now, which is Shark City Ozark, and you can come in here and have a look at what, if anyone's interested. And like they're doing a new 3 foot shark, 1/8 scale, and it's $700 US, which is not too bad actually. That's pretty good. 36 inches long.
I have to put a link to that in the comment section.
Yeah.
Who would look at? That'll be rather cool.
I might actually jump on one of these myself. Looking at it right now, I haven't got one. I think I probably will.
That's it. You just push everything to one side and just fit this massive giant shark in your collection.
Yes. And they've got one on a tow sled, which is like the sharks on a wooden plank that would sit in the water, as they were filming, and then they'd tow it along so you wouldn't see the wood, obviously, which is another 1/8, and that's 700 again. So, and you can customize how you want it to look. So, if anyone's interested in getting a shark from Jaws, you don't have to track down the sideshow version. You can come here. It's Shark City Ozark, and pick your own up, which I might be doing sometime this year. I think I probably will because I'll put it off for too long.
That's it. You stamp that, and then your collection is like godlike, like ultimate godlike status.
Yeah, there's another $1,000. Who cares?
Yeah. Come on, do it.
Yes.
It's you must buy it. It's calling you, Rob.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I put it off for a long time. His prices don't seem to have gone up from. I better not speak too soon. But his prices don't seem to have gone up too much as compared to Sideshow and other producers. I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to what they were 2 or 3 years ago. So if he's still producing them at that price, then it's definitely worth looking into. But something for everyone out there if they're interested in Jaws and Bruce the Shark. Okay, got any more pics to show us before we get on to?
Just hang on, I'm starting to check. Well, I haven't got any more pics at the moment.
All right.
I'll
run through mine quickly then.
Okay, yeah, that's good. We'll run through that.
This won't take too long. Okay, so what we're looking at, so you see that okay?
Yes, see that perfect, mate.
Okay, so what we're looking at is more of the Conan on Throne that Chronicle Collectibles are doing, and this is just bits and pieces that these are on the front of the throne, and there's bits of the body up here being painted and bits of the throne again, and his staff. Just looking at the detail, it's quarter scale, this piece, the detail on the paint apps on the Paint Master that Chronicle are currently putting together. That's one to look out for. This was a custom piece that I ran across somewhere of Max Schreck as Count Orloff, Neferostu. Again, I think it's one of those silicon busts.
Yeah.
Get done occasionally. It looks bloody, it's amazing.
Yeah, very creepy.
Fantastic. Love that. And okay, so we've talked about Daredevil in the past and him breaking. We had another one through the week, same thing. I suppose it was an Australian collector who heard a crash in the middle of the night, got up.
I saw that one, yes. I saw the status of that, yeah.
Yeah, and this is what it looks like when it's set up. And I sort of deliberately chose this photo so you could actually see. Here's the only point of anchorage to the base. So you've got all this statue sitting on just this tiny portion of foot, and this is what happened to it. And this is the important part right here. That's the front of the foot. And you can see the tiny little metal rod that is anchoring the front of that foot into that base. That's just, you know, you got to call it when you see it. Sideshow, that's pretty dodgy, that is. To have that statue anchored on that tiny little piece of foot with that small little rod, very, very disappointing. But
yeah, it's a shame for such a nice piece as well to have that.
I actually quite like it. I quite like. A lot of people sort of complain about it. Oh, it's not dynamic enough, or his clubs are too small. But I actually quite like it. I've seen it in person as well. It comes up really, really nice. But again, I'd just be worried about, you know, you've got this whole body anchored into that, just on that tiny little piece of foot with that small little rod. Oh, dearie me, that's not good. Anyway, okay, so we're talking about space considerations and scale earlier. Here is something I ran across. This was a custom, based on a Bester, I think it is, a custom case for Prime 1 third scale bat figures, or bat statues, whatever you want to call them. So you've got the statue at the top, and you've got a box underneath for the storage of all the bits and pieces, and then you've got this section in the middle for the busts, as it says there. So if you're going to be purchasing some Prime 1 Batman statues, you might want to consider something like that in terms of my options.
It looks fantastic. And it's interesting as well. They've used on the picture. They've used the Arkham Knight one as well, which is also quite helpful because that's possibly the one I'm going to go for. But yeah, that looks really nice.
I thought this was interesting. This box down the bottom, because one of the, I don't know about you, but one of the issues I have with all the, you know, sideshow pieces is where do you put the switch out parts? Because I don't leave them in the boxes, because my boxes go into, as I said before, an attic or a garden shed, and if I want to swap anything out, I don't want to be digging through a garden shed or an attic trying to find a certain box with a certain piece. So I have I have made up sort of some fabric cases like this that have 3 drawers in it, and that's where I stick all my little switch out pieces that I've been picking up over the years. But anyway, that was that one. This is I don't know where this came from, but it was a custom Tom Hardy from Fury Road, from the tanker, you know, obviously tanker fight scene with Furiosa, Charlize Theron. I think it's just a custom that someone's putting together that I thought was interesting. So if people are interested in Fury Road pieces, they are out there. You just have to go through the trouble of tracking them down and getting a hold of them if you're interested. One for you, Ryan. This was a repainted Godzilla maquette from Sideshow.
That looks nice.
Yeah, they did a repaint on it, and they added a coat of gloss over the top of the really bad matte grey that sort of the whole thing seems to be covered in. Yeah, I think it turned out quite nice, actually. So it shows that, the sculpt is there. If someone wants to take the time to touch it up in terms of paint, you can actually get a nice piece out of that Godzilla maquette.
That looks like how the prototype looks now.
Yes, yes. So it's a pity Sideshow didn't take the time and wherewithal to make sure that the paint apps came out all right on that piece. They might have had something that would have sold a bit better than it did.
Yeah, it's devastating, really.
Yeah, so because it's a nice size as well. All right, this is a painted up XM Ghost Rider, and a lot of people are complaining about the flames. They prefer the translucent resin.
I can understand.
Yeah, so people are sort of complaining about that and saying this looks more like a McDonald's toy or something you get from, Toys R Us or something. So I don't know. I'd wait and see what the whole thing looks like put together, painted before. Yeah, before. The front
looks all right. I think where it loses its touch is as you get further to the back.
Yeah. Well, I think they were talking about it needed to be not that resin, it needed to be like a more sturdy substance, these flames, because they, structurally they're integral to the piece as well. It's not like the, pardon me, not like the Phoenix piece, which is more of it's more of a display. It's not structurally integral to the piece, whereas here the flames are, so they've had to use a different material. But we'll wait and see what XM do. There's the head, the flames, and your boot, obviously. That's coming along. Another close-up of the skulls on the base. This is something for me. This is I'm getting this Juggernaut here later sometime this year. It's a custom from Halimar. Elwyn's getting it as well, I think. And that's the size of it. It's huge, enormous piece. So if anyone's out there looking for a Juggernaut for their X-Men collection, Halimar are the people to go and talk to. And this piece, you can still get it. It'll cost you $750 US, which is not bad considering the size that it's going to come out at.
Right. So you sitting there
Let's have a look
at
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know what happened there. I think it just disconnected. Probably my brother is still on the fucking internet, probably.
Technical difficulties. Yes, I can't see you at the moment. I've just got your symbol. Oh, there you are. You're back again.
Okay, all good. I thought for a second I'd lost the whole chat. I'm like, no, can't do this to me. But that should be okay now. It's, yeah, no, but I agree on the what's it called as well, the Ghost Rider base.
Yeah.
You were saying resin, like off the, you said like with the Sinestro, I think it was.
Yes.
With resin, probably in a way it's perhaps a sacrifice there to, get right, So
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's sort of they got to think about how it's going to hopefully last over time. You don't want the sort of Daredevil situation happening with your $1,000 Ghost Rider. It's sort of starting to lean and fall apart. And you can see sort of up the end here, you can see where something obviously fits on to the to this flame section. And you probably find there's some kind of rod or metal support buried in there, that if it was a clear resin, you wouldn't be, you'd obviously be seeing it. Anyway, this was, I think, we're at Sunday today. So this is something that I collect, these little hobbit holes that Weta do. Okay. And they're currently $40 US each. But tomorrow, 9 o'clock, they're going to be going up to $50 US each. So if there are any Lord of the Rings collectors left out there and you collect these little hobbit holes, and you manage to see this video for whatever it's worth, go and jump on any of these that you haven't picked up, because tomorrow they're going up in price by 25%. So I actually yesterday just ordered the last 2 that I hadn't got after Weta announced that was happening. So there we are with those little pieces. They're nice. They're small but nice. Talking about Lord of the Rings, Weta dropped this through the week, the Minas Tirith environment, and that's a production piece. That's what people are getting out of the box. This is what was posted on one of the forums that I visit. There's some photos there, and I'll probably pick this up through the year sometime. It's an open edition, and it's quite expensive. It's $600, so we'll see when I can manage to get that, and if I use some points to bring the price down on it. Here was the armored Batman from Batman versus Superman with the light up eyes from, I can't remember where it was exactly, and some pictures of the PCS Judge Dredd. There he is, the Carl Urbane.
Hey, Rob, sorry about that, mate. It's just dropped out again.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
It's internet all of a sudden just decided to die. So.
That's all right. Let me finish what I'm doing then, and then we might wrap it up if we're going to keep having troubles. Just to wrap it up, this is the Medusa print that's coming with the XM piece shortly, and here were a few mock-ups of XM's Red Skull. We looked at the figure a few weeks ago. This is what they've come up with in terms of base and pose from different angles. I actually still prefer the Sideshow, the original version, which is much more closely aligned with the Nazis. That's how I envisage Red Skull. He's a Nazi. I'm not a fan of this sort of Hydra stuff. Yeah. He needs to have a swastika on his arm. This is XM's paint up of Sandman, their quarter scale Sandman piece, which I think looks really, really nice, though I'm not getting it.
That looks nice, actually. Yeah. And the pose as well is excellent.
Yeah, lots of switch outs as well. Different arms, both sides, and I think I've got another one here. Oh no, that's not. Well, there is. Okay, I don't have one, but he has an alternate head sculpt as well.
Okay.
Which is just a regular head sculpt that's painted more to match his skin tones and things. So that's it. My last little bit. This is my Blu-ray of the week. Probably a film that no one has seen but me, but if you jump onto Amazon US, you can pick this up. It's a little flick called Miracle Mile from a director called Steve Janet, who also did Cherry 2000, which is a bit of a cult flick from the mid-80s starring Melanie Griffith. This here is let's say a end-of-the-world apocalyptic thriller. It plays much like a Hitchcock kind of film in a way. Okay. Very 80s in style in terms of fashion, so don't go into it expecting it to sort of look and feel like something from the modern day, but if you've seen it, it's a great little flick. Really well written, really well acted. The tension in the flick builds and builds and builds. It's only short, it's only 90 odd minutes. Great little film that really no one has seen. It came out earlier this year on Blu-ray. It was Kino in America, put it out with a whole slew of extras, nice new transfer. It doesn't look like a modern day blockbuster. Don't get me wrong, they haven't put that kind of effort into it, but it looks really, really nice. I mean, for me, the last time I saw Miracle Mile was on a disgusting VHS from years and years and years ago. It was put out on DVD by MGM in the States in a full frame transfer, a 1:3, 1:1:3 transfer. This is properly mattered back to 185 as it was shown in the theatres when it was shown in the theatres for its teeny tiny run. But if you know of films, well, I would class it as part of the end of the world's nuclear annihilation sort of genre of film. So stuff like The Day After, Threads, On the Beach, you know, even stuff like Doctor Strange, Love, Failsafe, both versions, the original and the remake sort of live telly version with Richard Dreyfuss, talking about Jaws earlier. What else would fit into that? Even stuff like, I mean, you could sort of say the film that was recently released, Z for Zachariah, Red Dawn, John Milius's Red Dawn, the original version of that, fits into that type of mold or that type of genre of film. Highly recommended if you like that sort of thing. And if you don't like that sort of thing, still check it out, because it's a great little film, a gem of a film that not many people have seen, and it's a pity that people haven't seen it because it's really good. So that's my pick for Blu-ray of the week. I wish I could show you the disc. It is somewhere here, but as I'm currently redoing my room, it's in a pile somewhere, and I haven't been able to drag it out yet.
I'll have to check that out, Rob. I'll definitely have to look that one. So it's
Yes.
Miracle Mile.
Miracle Mile, yeah. It's got a really nice score by Tangerine Dream as well, if you know who they are. They did a lot of electronic scores through the 80s, synth scores. And they did score for that as well. So it's like I said, don't go in. You got to expect 80s fashion, 80s look. It was made in the sort of, I think it's 88. It was made and came out in 89. So it has that 80s aesthetic to it, but it's a really taut thriller that plays a lot like I said, like a Hitchcock film. So if you like films like Foreign Correspondent, Man Who Knew Too Much, 39 Steps, even sort of the more well-known stuff, North by Northwest, if you like that kind of, that type of Hitchcock film, you'll enjoy Miracle Mile. It's really good. Just a quick synopsis. A guy meets a girl. They're trying to go out on a date, but he works day shift, she works night shift. So they're trying to meet at odd hours to go out on a date. He gets a telephone call in the early hours of the morning from someone, it's a wrong number, who tells him that nuclear war has started, broken out, and the missiles are on their way. And basically the film plays out in real time. He has 90 minutes to find, or an hour, what's left of the film, to find his girl and try and clear out of town, so to speak.
Right.
It's a real nice little thriller.
Yeah, that's clever idea, really.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's really, it's obviously a small budget film for its time, but it's really well executed. And unfortunately, the director Steve Janet, that he made Cherry 2000, and then he made this, and he's never made a film since. He's still active in the film industry. I think he does commercials now, mostly, but has never made another feature, which is a bit of a pity because Miracle Mile it's a really good little flick. Cherry 2000, I don't have a lot of time for. It's pretty rubbishy, but Miracle Mile is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pity he never made anything afterwards.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's definitely check that out.
Yes, absolutely.
Rightio. So I think we better wrap that up then for tonight. I think it was another good chat. I think we covered a lot, especially with the whole scales and collecting and where collecting's going. I think we covered that fairly well, and I think people, it's an interesting topic because things change, never stays the same, this world. So it's always good to think of the future, because obviously that's what we're all going to, the future.
Yep,
we ain't going to the past, that's for sure.
Not unless we've got a DeLorean.
Yeah, DeLorean or a TARDIS, one of the
Yes.
other.
Just as an
Yeah,
aside to that, if anyone watches this and they have any comments about scales and sizes and storage of boxes, leave your comments in the comments below, because it's always interesting to get other opinions on these topics.
Yeah, and also it'd be cool to hear what scales people collect. So, are you a quarter scale person, or even are you even considering bringing your collection down to a smaller size now? Are you thinking of going smaller scale, or or just even slowing down because of the obviously running out of space with big collectibles like quarter scale and or stuff like that? So that would be interesting as well to hear, because like you say, it all comes to one point, and then you got to make a decision. Then you got to either go smaller or stop altogether. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so like I say, great chat. It was great having you on again, Rob. Thank you again for basically co-hosting this with me. So that's always great. I say I can't do this if you didn't jump on.
No, that's it.
Hopefully within the maybe next time or whatever, we can maybe get some more people on. Even if anybody's interested, we could even say if anyone's been watching this and is interested in jumping on with us, let us know. That would be cool. Have new people, even if the other guys are busy at the moment and they can't make it, somebody else can jump on.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we got on anyway. We were just some randoms that joined Charlie. And he was like, "Who are you?" And then we just said who we were, and he's like, "All right then, come on."
That's right. That's right. Don't worry, we don't fight much.
No. Rightio. So, like I say, great chat. And if you've watched this, thank you for watching. It's glad we can entertain somebody. It's always good. And we'll obviously have it on again next week. And Rob, are you thinking about same time next week, or do you want in the week? What would suit you better?
I'll think about it and I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Rightio.
Fair enough.
All good.
Yes, I don't know. It depends on family commitments and things like that, and work, and
that's it.
The real world. The real world always gets in the way of these things, doesn't it? Yes.
Oh, damn.
Damn you, real life.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Rightio then. Well,
okay,
I say,
on that note, I've got to go back to real life, unfortunately, and I'll see you next week, Ryan, sometime.
Yeah,
take it easy.
See you too. See ya.
Bye.